Okay, Algebra 2 people for Mr. Fry. Let me take a look at where we want to start here. If you missed some of this stuff from in class or you just need to review, I'll get to the homework too. You could fast forward this if you already have this. So tell whether the quadratic function is in standard form or vertex form. So we have standard form, vertex form, standard form. Okay, standard form is when we have remember the A, B, C going on. Even if there is, like in this first one, there's just an A, this is A, there's no B, there's no C, okay? The vertex form is when you have that HK stuff. Let me look back in right here. When it's like this, A, and then you have X minus H in parentheses 2, okay? There might not be a K there, but it looks like this, okay? You have the parentheses, so notice the parentheses, that's vertex form. That's how you know the difference, okay? So standard form and vertex form. Okay, and then these, 13, 14, and 15, we did in class, most of them. So here's 13, 14, 15. So in order to use this formula, negative B over 2A, first of all, you got to label these. This is my A, this is my B, and this is my C, right? Okay. So my A is 2, my B is negative 16 because it's minus 16. C is 31. So I work it out and I use this problem. Now I have this formula. Negative 16 is going to be regular 16. And then I just substitute for the A, I substitute that 2 in there, okay? So now I have 4. So 16 divided by 4 is just 4. So my axis of symmetry is 4 on this one, okay? Now in order to find the vertex, that's just giving me the axis of symmetry or the x value. So the vertex is that x value. I already did that negative b over 2a, I did that. That's my 4, okay? I did that. Now in order to figure out the y value or the function of that, you substitute the x in for the problem. So I go back up to this original problem, and instead of x, now that I know what x is, it's 4, I plug in the 4, and I work the problem out, use order of operations, and I get negative 1. So negative 1 is my y coordinate. So my vertex coordinate then is 4, negative 1. Okay, so 4, negative 1 is going to be the answer for number 13, 4, negative 1. But you're going to have to show all that work. Okay, and then 14, I have that listed right here for you. My A is negative 1 because it's negative x. My B is negative 4 because it's minus 4x. And then my C is 1 because I have that positive 1 back there. So I do the whole negative B over 2A thing, working with my negatives and all that. And I get negative 2. Then I plug in that negative 2 back into the problem because that's my x. That's an ugly negative 2, sorry. And then I plug it back in and I realize that it is 5. My y ends up being 5. So that's the point at which, this comes to the highest point. And I know it's a highest point because remember yesterday in my video I said that, when you see a negative out in front like that, that's going to tell you that this problem is going to open downward, so it's going to be like a frown. Think of negative frown. This is positive, so this is positive, so this is going to open up, okay? And this point right here, that's the vertex, that's this point, 4, negative 1. That's where that vertex is going to be, wherever, on a graph. And this one would be the highest point, the maximum point, negative 2, 5, because it opens down, okay? This one is going to be positive, so it's a smiley face. So we're going to figure out where this point is, the vertex, okay, the very lowest point. So in number 15, I did that. And here's my A, here's my B, here's my C. I went ahead and plugged those into the axis of symmetry. There's my negative 6, here's my B. And there's my A, 3 there, and it ends up being 6 over 6, or 1. So 1 is my x value, my axis of symmetry. So I plug that in to the problem to figure out my y value. When I do that, I end up getting 3 minus 6 plus 4. So that is going to be negative 3 plus 4, or 1. So it's going to be 1, 1, 1, 1. So 1, 1 is my point, that's that point, that coordinate for that point. If I were to have a graph to be drawn, I don't have graphs, but you do on your homework. You do have graphs on your homework. So taking a look at this one ends up being really interesting because it's all a bunch of zeros. Okay, you can see where I plugged that in, where I did the axis of symmetry and it got 0, where I got the vertex from doing this out when I plug in my 0 for my x value, ends up being 0 also, so 0, 0. Okay, so to graph it, it looks like this. 0, 0 is at the origin. And you'll notice that I have a couple of points to make this look a little bit neater because we know it's going to open up, but you know, how wide, how narrow is it going to be? Well, when you put in your calculator or use Desmos online, Desmos graphing calculator, you'll be able to find a few points that you can plot on here. So when it goes out to 1, it goes to 1, 3, and this goes to -1, 3. And then this one, 2, goes all the way up to 12. And -2 goes to 12, so it's kind of off the charts. So I was able to graph that a little bit better. Hopefully you're pausing this. The x-intercept is right here at 0, 0, and the y-intercept is right here at 0, 0, okay? It's a minimum value because it's at the bottom. I guess I didn't have to put anything there. It's just minimum because the value is 0, 0. That's the minimum is 0, 0. It's the same as the vertex. That's just what they're getting at. All real numbers, because this will keep going and eventually cover all the x values in both directions. It keeps going wider and wider and wider forever and ever. So you could pick a point like way over here, but it's going to be way up on the graph, you know, off the charts. But it'll be there. It'll cover it. And the range has to be anything greater than or equal to 0. So nothing less than 0 would be in this graph. All right, hopefully that helps. Try 2 on your own. 3, and go ahead and make mistakes. And like I said, use Desmos on the or graphing calculator, whichever you like best. When I worked this one out, I found my A, my B, my C. I did my axis of symmetry, and I found that it was 1. I plugged that in for the vertex to find out my my y value, my x and y value for the vertex. You'll notice that this looks exactly like number 15 on the one that you did in class, this one right here. It's the same one. Okay, I didn't realize that until I got to that point. Well, anyways, your vertex is 1, 1. It's a minimum shaped like this. Once again, I got a couple other dots here so you can kind of see which direction it's going. And so in a couple other points is when it's at 2, it's at 1, 2, 3, 4. When it's at 0, it's at 4. So I got my y-intercept. I do have a y-intercept of 0, 4. I don't have an x-intercept. It's not going to intercept the x-axis. Domain is all real numbers, and the range is going to be y is greater than 1. Domain is all real numbers because, once again, it's going to keep going in either direction. So anywhere on the x-axis, the domain, you get a point if you or call a number and you go up that number, you'll find a point on that graph. Just for instance, there is only one that's going to be opening down. It's going to be a maximum number. Then the vertex is going to be a maximum. It's going to be the highest point. Open down because it's negative. Remember that, just so you got a little help for number 4. Number 5, here we go with number 5. I went ahead and figured out the vertex, my A, my B, my C. Plugged the B's and A's in to figure out that the axis of symmetry is 5. Plug that 5 in to figure out what as my x, to figure out what my y would be. My y would be -16. So here you go. I did not graph this. I don't know why. But vertex is going to be at 5, 16. Oh, I started to. It's way down here. It's off the charts. But then my x-intercept is 1, 1, 0. And 9, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right here. So that kind of helps you start to draw this a little bit better. Hopefully you're drawing it better than I am. Okay, so it kind of looks like that. Oh, man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It actually goes a lot narrower. So it does cross the y-axis at 9. I was just looking at my y-intercept, ends up being 0, 9. And you could figure that out on your graphing calculator or Desmos. Okay, So once again, the domain is going to be all real numbers, and the range is going to, y has got to be greater than or equal to negative 16. Hopefully this helps. And those couple 2 and 4, try them. Try to work them out. Use your graph calculator. Use Desmos. Use the formula in order to find the vertex and all that kind of good stuff. It'll show you the vertex when you use Desmos, but might as well try to work it out. Good luck.